And again, thanks for joining us for the segment. And straight away, we have to introduce our guests for the morning. I have a former member of parliament for Infantiman East, which is now a Kumfui constituency in the studio. George Kuntublanks is my first guest. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, and also James Apietuankra. And he is a former member of parliament also of Lower West Achim. For many of you, you look at the parliamentary handsouts and the document, it says Lower West Achim. I believe it's now occupied by Gifty Clenham. Well, she has not been chosen to become as far as I'm concerned, the parliamentary candidate of the party for the constituency. But we'll see how that goes for her as well. Kingmaker, how are you?
Thank you very much.
All right. As far as we're concerned, there are issues that we need to talk about, from the strike action issues of the electoral registers raised by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and his vice presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And also VCRAC Crab, that's Professor VCRAC Crab, who is raising issues about the politicization of the district level elections. But first, let's talk about the current strike action by the GMA. Now the minority seem to have weighed in, not taking it kindly to the intervention by government to bring in Cuban medical doctors and essentially also augment the practice or fill the vacuum with retired doctors, so to speak. I start with you, James.
Well, thank you very much. First of all, let me express my condolences to the family of your colleague,
Samuel
Nyama, who unfortunately yesterday by this time was a living person, but less than 24 hours is no more. And this is a lesson for all of us to know that we are mortals, and whatever we do, we must be conscious of what we do as human beings. Having said that, let me say that what you do, or when you tread a certain path and you realize that what you have done, you don't go back there. So what the import of the press conference of the minority on this Cuban doctor's replacement of all this is that we have done it before. We brought them in, and if you did the cost-benefit analysis, it didn't benefit this country.
That is so overall.
Overall, yeah. Okay. That's, you brought them in, paid their air fares, gave them bungalows, fed them, gave them all sorts of allowances. At the end of the day, it was more costly to the country than what we thought we were going to benefit.
That was for almost the medium to long term. That was the period when we invited them back in their revolutionary days, so to speak.
Sure.
But this is
because there was a strike.
Measure.
No.
This is just for a short-term measure, I believe.
That one too was for a short term. There was a strike.
Yes, I do understand that.
Yes.
Yes. Ultimately, we began all that to make sure we streamline issues, and we had a lot more medical doctors from Cuba. That's what I meant.
Yes, you're right. That was a more, as it were, a more properly arranged.
Yes,
that
because it led to a certain transition of having medical doctors from Cuba.
So
but not necessarily at the cost as it is we're going to have now, because that one was a lot more substantial. Cuba was doing us more of a favor at the time.
Absolutely, but now if you look at the situation in which we are now, if you say you're going to go tread that same path, we believe that at the final analysis, the country will be the loser, and that's not the solution to this problem. So
what solution would you propose? Look, the point is, now the medical doctors are not willing to go back to the health facilities and come back to the negotiation table. But government says, well, first you flatter the law, and the basis for any negotiation or for us to recommence any negotiation is when you get back to the medical facilities.
Roland, thank you very much. I'm not a lawyer, but what I do know is that for the emergency services, major services, there is a special rule that has been done that within a certain period, if there's this kind of impasse, quickly they will need to resolve it. If after it is not resolved within 14 days or something like that, quickly they needed to so I am surprised about even the Labour Commission, that they've sat down all this while. If they knew they could do this. So for me, we should blame the Labour Commission for what has happened. If there had been any deaths arising out of this strike, what were they doing? Sitting down, if they knew that they would come in and call the two parties.
Well, Mr. Pitwaka, indeed there have been deaths. There have been deaths. So it depends on which estimation.
Yes, so if they have been as a result of this strike, the Labour Commission should be held responsible. What were they sitting there doing? Were they also dead?
Your comments about how the minorities weigh in, Mr. Kuntu-Blankson.
Well, let me take this opportunity given me by the grace of God and your offices to thank you first and foremost, and also join my colleague to express our condolences to the Belit family and the Inky fraternity. And we should all bear in mind that this world is not our home. And the great singer used to sing. We are all passing through.
There's a transition for all of us.
Yes, our treasures are laying up. Yes.
Jimmy Reeves.
Yes.
Reeves. Thank you.
So once a time you will live, and once a time you will die. But after death, judgment. And let me tie in with this issue that you put across concerning the strike of medical doctors and the comment that is being coming here and there. My brother, you know, I always say that the existence of any human nature and every activity you do is by calling. You sitting there, if the good Lord has called you to be a medical practitioner, you could have been a doctor, but because you are not called, you are now a media personnel. And with every calling, there is its consequence, responsibility, and accountability. Because nothing you do on this earth, you will not account for. You understand? And two, I blame the institutions who have the responsibility to make sure that things are done in fairness and in equity manner. Because in every society where there's no fairness, there's no equity, there's bound to be chaos, which people forget about it. That because when, what do you call it, service is entrusted into the person's hand, he takes it as an authority, but forgetting that every position that you have been put into is a service. So when you're able to serve humanity well, you are equally serving God well. Because God you don't see, but he has created a human being for you to live in a society. You understand? And when such an issue comes, we don't use our heart, we use our mind.
And who should have used the mind here?
Everybody.
Both parties.
Yes, because, listen to me, the issue, I've traded this issue.
Okay, let me draw this down. So you're saying all of them should have used their minds and know that their lives involve their people and stakeholders involved. That is it. So the medical doctors should have used their mind not to leave the health facilities, and then the employer also should have made sure that satisfy the needs of the medical doctors. It takes two to tango,
you know it.
Right.
You are not living in an island. You are living.
But currently we have a stalemate. No matter what you think about it, it's a stalemate.
If you allow me, like, to make my submission, because when you interject or with your question, what do you call, I cannot synchronize well.
There's no coherence.
Yes, coherent, consistency.
Please go ahead.
And those out there, they are the best judge. Because somebody maybe coming from you may take an aspect and twist it. No. But let the people know that we are all human and we are for this nation.
Okay. Okay.
So if you allow me.
Please go ahead.
And like I said, we could have used our mind, but not our heart. And make sure that we have responsibility to every calling that's given to us. When this thing happened, I've treated this issue with rapt attention, consistently, because I'm concerned about human beings. Because without human beings, there will be no society. Animals cannot provide anything for us. That the only thing God gave to human beings is to think and reason. But animals, they act anyhow, by instincts, if you go to biological sector. But let me tell you, They said this issue occurred almost about 40-something good years. This concerning their what do you call it?
Conditions
of service. That is the crux of the matter. So is it your mama's fault?
Well, nobody's saying John Mahama should.
No, you see, let him finish. Let him finish. You allow me to come with it.
You're making points, and I'm entitled to make interjections.
Yes, the point I'm making is that let us link politics from this issue.
Who has linked politics?
Oh, Master, say me, I've been observing not your station. That's why I told you that I've followed this consistently with rapt attention, so I know what I'm talking about. I won't come here and lie to say anything I don't know of, because our faithful Paul said, I talk about what I see. I talk about what I hear and I feel. I don't talk about what somebody is thinking about, because I'm not in that person's memory. So with all the media discussions that goes on, I think that also has affected the class of the matter, or the substance of the matter. Forgetting that the thing started from somewhere. So it's the negligence of certain people at that time which has cascaded effect to this hour. So such an issue must be tackled as a nationalistic issue.
Which means?
Which means everybody that has some idea will bring all together and solve it without insult. Yesterday, I listened to my minority leader. In fact, I was hit. I'm telling you, I'm a trained from Cuba. I'm a Cuban trained. I was not trained in Ghana. You understand? Knowledge is universal.
Well, I guess we all have contention as to whether the Cuban doctors are, because we know they are good. They are one of the most hard-working doctors we'll find around. No, I don't think I will have the time for you to do all the, because that's the big at the end of the day.
Yeah, the time is short. That is why at times I'm worried, because you know, knowledge is universal, but its application
is the same.
It's the same.
Okay. So you're saying it doesn't matter where you're trained.
It doesn't matter once you have the grips of the theory and its application, no matter who.
But do you think the minority was, or whoever led the press conference, Dr. Richard Anani, himself a medical doctor, do you think he was questioning the competence of
it? It wasn't Dr. Anani. I'm saying the minority leader. I heard him. That one.
I also heard other sections of the minority making some questioning.
Let me tell you, America, the so-called superpower. Now, they fly from America to receive medical attention in Cuba. Now as I'm talking to you. They are developed advanced country. And we are sitting here condemned. You see, condemnation will not solve this problem. I'm pleading with the doctors that, and even, let me add it with this. Their own conference that they had it at Capital View Hotel, is that the place they have their conference? Convoria. There were petitions. Some number of doctors decided to go. Others decided to stay away. What tells you?
So it means that
is democracy.
Please, democracy
is the majority that counts.
Yes,
it was a vote. It was a vote decision.
Yeah, that is what I'm telling you. That you see, if you are called by a job,
okay, wrap up for me.
Your passion and your attention, nothing can change it.
All right, I get your point. But now we have to be realistic here. The point is, no matter what we say, the members of the GMA are currently, wherever they are, not in the hospitals. We have to get them back to the hospitals and make sure that they go back to the negotiation table. How do we do that?
I think
because they are saying that government should negotiate with them while they are home.
You see, if the Labour Commission was up and doing, that law is good enough to have resolved this issue long ago. Kenya has had this problem just about 2 weeks or so ago. And quickly, within a week or so, their commission made sure that the law was applied. And quickly, they've somehow resolved this issue. So I am surprised that the Labour Commission sat down and watched on. And we, the citizens, were just, going through this kind of trauma. Only for you, when the minister and government have said, giving an ultimatum to the doctors to go back, then you come and you issue. So I'm surprised that if I were the president, I would have fired them. I would have fired them, because for me, I mean, they are useless. They are useless because why would you sit down until the government issues an ultimatum to the doctors to get back to work and come for negotiations. Then you call them and say, oh, come back. Then you say, oh, well, look, don't go at the media and talk and do this. All these things, you've waited for both sides to use words, unprintable words on this thing, only for you when the thing had gotten to.
So they should have intervened there
long ago. That is why they are there. That is why they are being paid.
But how do we make cool heads prevail? Because you have mentioned the utterances and the communication that has come from both sides. Sure. That tend also to pollute the opinion as far as we're concerned. But at the end of the day, the medical doctors also have a certain responsibility, not only to themselves, but also to the patients that they serve.
Sure.
And that is paramount. The employer also at the end of the day has a certain responsibility to the citizenry,
right,
and also the medical doctors, because they are their employees. How do we come to certain congruence?
Well, I am seeing some kind of cool minds coming to it, because.
But it's very slow, I believe.
Yes, when the Labour Commission said none of them should go on air and started, I'm told, and I heard a lot of the media houses saying that they called the doctors and they refused to talk, which means that at least they are prepared to, go to the negotiating table now. And the government communicators have also said that they've been told not to comment further. So I believe that that's a good sign that things are getting, and this should be something that can be resolved within some 48 hours. You should be able to see, some
James
light at
it's not
the
as easy as that.
Oh,
okay.
it should.
So how do we resolve it? Straight away, just give me, let's say, 2 minutes. How do we resolve it?
Yeah, that is what I told you, that we should use our mind, not our heart, and think about the people that we say.
Now both parties are not thinking about the people. They're thinking about what's at stake. The point is, we have to be realistic. If government gives in to the medical doctors, a lot more of the unionized groups within the health sector will also rise up, because they're closely, as far as in working order, with the medical doctors. And then the other groups, teachers, etc., will also come in and have a share of the cake. And we don't have enough money in the kitty. We have to be realistic.
That is what I'm saying. Now, we should use our mind. We shouldn't use our heart. Because we know the economy of this nation, right from colonial time. It has been foreign driven. Even our budget, we seek donor support. So that we must all come to the table and fashion a system that will reinvigorate our country.
Okay.
So that fairness, equity
will prevail.
You see, Roland, I believe that if you call the people and say, look, it's just like a parent.
It's not been easy. They've been called several times to tables.
No, because they've also complained.
It's not been easy. If it was easy, I'm sure we would have gotten to the point.
They've also complained. Please, Roland, listen. And then you repair and say, look, I now realize that for this and this I didn't do so please forget about what has happened,
right?
And let's moving forward, because I erred here, once they see they are human beings. I believe that they have relatives who also go there. I believe that if they got, after all, we have had chieftaincy problems where we brought some eminent citizens to try and resolve it. Why can't we do the same thing? We have our own way of resolving our issues. Before the white man came, we had our own way of resolving our issues. At 5 a.m., they'll call you, Roland, come. You come. Your uncle,
that's for household. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that easy.